It's one thing for fans to criticize New Zealand rugby, but when a former All Black like Murray Mexted comes out swinging, people start paying attention. Because this isn't just noise anymore. This is someone who understands exactly how the system is supposed to work, calling it out from the inside. After reading Ian Foster's book, Leading Under Pressure, Murray Mexted didn't hold back. He looked at how New Zealand rugby handled Foster, and his reaction was simple. It made no sense. In his words, the decision-making was basically lunacy. The All Blacks are already on their second coach since Foster led the team to the Rugby World Cup final in France, with Dave Rennie taking over from Scott Robertson this year. However, after reading Foster's book Leading Under Pressure, Mexted has taken aim at NZ Rugby over their lack of support for the coach as they plotted to replace him with Robertson in 2022 before the players stepped in. The following year, the Union confirmed that Robertson would be taking over from Foster following the World Cup, a decision that Mexted has blasted as lunacy. I can't believe the naivety of the people who made that decision. It was just incredible that they thought they could name a new coach before the Rugby World Cup. That is just lunacy. And having been in the team, I remember many occasions where teams were announced and there were guys that were pretty bloody upset that weren't in the team, which is fair enough, but the key is to keep everybody involved. And that's probably one of the things that Razor was really good at, but he and Foster was outstanding. The decision to announce that Robertson would be taking over from Foster before the global showpiece in 2023 was a clear indication that the latter didn't have the backing of the board. After reading the details of how events transpired from Foster's point of view, Mexted was left impressed by how the coach conducted himself, but added that those kinds of pressures are part and parcel of the position. He believes that Springboks boss Rassie Erasmus had similar hurdles when he returned to South Africa, but he has worked hard to get the support of South African rugby and now does whatever he wants. After reading it, I thought, well, good on you. You did so well in the Rugby World Cup despite all the things that happened. I mean, getting within 1 point of drawing the World Cup final was a fantastic performance when you look at the background. When I say things like that, you've also got to acknowledge and appreciate that's the way it is at the top sometimes. But I do think that the body of support at the NZR level wasn't sufficient at the time. You can look at Rassie Erasmus and how about the lack of support from the people who are running South African rugby. He had to fight tooth and nail to be able to do some of the things he's done, and he's won them all over now. It took him some time, but he's won them all over, and he's doing whatever he wants, and he's doing it well, and he's powerful. It's always a battle to get to the stage where you can do the things you want to do, be that you need to do to achieve and be successful. Now, think about what triggered that reaction. At the time, Ian Foster was under serious pressure. Results weren't perfect, critics were loud, and the media was circling. That's normal when you're coaching the All Blacks. But what's not normal is your own governing body quietly working on your replacement while you're still in charge. And that's exactly what Mexted is highlighting. Behind the scenes, New Zealand Rugby was already lining up Scott Robertson back in 2022. This wasn't a future plan. It was an active move happening while Foster was still trying to lead the team. According to Mexted, that kind of behavior doesn't just undermine a coach, it destroys the environment. Because once players sense uncertainty at the top, everything changes. And yet, despite all of that chaos, Foster still managed to take the All Blacks all the way to the Rugby World Cup final. That's the part that makes Mexted's criticism even sharper. Because from his perspective, you had a coach delivering results under pressure, and instead of backing him, the system was already pushing him out. Then came the next move. New Zealand Rugby officially announced that Robertson would be taking over after the World Cup, while Foster was still in charge. Again, Mexted couldn't believe it. From a high-performance standpoint, that decision is incredibly risky. You're basically telling the current coach, the players, and the entire rugby world that change is coming right before the biggest tournament. It creates distraction, it creates doubt, and most importantly, it signals a lack of trust. Now here's where your point becomes even more powerful, because this didn't just happen once, it happened to Ian Foster, and now the same instability is hanging over Scott Robertson. So if you're Dave Rennie stepping into this environment, you need to understand something very clearly. You are not walking into a secure job, you are walking into a pattern. Murray Mexted's criticism isn't just about the past, it's a warning about the future. Because when a system behaves like this repeatedly, it doesn't matter who the coach is, the outcome starts to look the same. Pressure builds quickly, support disappears early, and replacement conversations start sooner than they should. That's the cycle Mexted is calling out. And unless New Zealand Rugby changes how it manages its coaches at the top level, Dave Rennie could easily find himself in the exact same position as Ian Foster, working under pressure, with uncertainty behind the scenes, and knowing that somewhere conversations about the next coach might already be happening. That's not just tough, that's unsustainable for a team trying to stay at the top of world rugby. And if Murray Mexted is right, this isn't the end of the problem. It's just the continuation of it.